All right, so it's 2 o'clock. Looks like we have a good amount of folks here. We'll go ahead and get started with the COVID-19 Response Committee meeting for today. I'm Jesse Letterman, Chairman of the City Council's COVID-19 Response Committee. We're joined today by Councilor Edwards, as well as the Commissioner of Health and Human Services, Commissioner Colton Harris. I also know I see Paul Tuthill and from WAMC and Matt Conway from the Reminder here. So we appreciate you gentlemen for joining as well. And we'll start, Commissioner, with anything you would like to share. Open it up to questions with myself and Councilor Edwards, any other councilors that join, and then move towards our conclusion. So Commissioner, at this time, the floor is yours. I know there's some new information and also our usual updates, so I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Councilor Letterman and Councilor Edwards. I am appreciative of the opportunity to just give you a brief update. Once again, the graphs are on the city's website if you'd like to take a look at them. But I don't think that there's any secret about the fact that COVID-19 cases are exploding across the Commonwealth, as well as the nation, and certainly here in the city of Springfield. Last week, our cases did go down a little bit, 35 cases from the prior week. The prior week was 818 cases, and the last week, I believe, was 783. And so we continue to have an explosion in those cases. The young individuals continue to be the majority of our cases. That 0 to 10-year-old age group is very, very high, as well as the 11 to 20-year-old age group. And I'm just looking for the graph so that I'm clear about what I am saying to you. You know, 818 to 783 was last week. And again, 30 and under is almost 56% of our cases. Springfield Public Schools is, I'm on the phone with Jeannie Clancy at least once a day, talking about Springfield Public Schools and the cases there. We are now starting to see cases, as you know, we're continue to do basketball, wrestling, all of our sports. We are in the process of shuttering some of those sports because of some of those COVID-19 cases that we're seeing. So 0 to 10-year-olds last week was 178 of our cases, 11 to 20, 116. And 21 to 30, 143. So you can see right there that those are the majority of the cases that we're seeing as far as age group is concerned. In zip codes, 01104 had 155 cases, 01109, 141 cases, and 01108 had 133 cases, which were the highest zip codes. However, 01118, where we usually don't see a lot of cases, had 86. So we're starting to see, obviously, COVID has really usurped many of our systems. And so we are really struggling to try to get our residents vaccinated and to make sure that we are doing the best we can. We did receive 169,970 COVID-19 cases. They are now stored at Allen Street. We will start the distribution process on Monday, making sure that we get the home kits into the hands of our residents, and that's going to be important. We will use the same distribution process that we use for vaccine, and what that means is that agencies like New North Citizens Council, Martin Luther King, South End Community Center, the neighborhood councils, we will be making sure Springfield Housing Authority, any place where we believe that individuals gather, we will be giving them the kits. We had our usual meeting today at 10 o'clock with all of our stakeholders and partners, and most of them do want the kits. And so our job is going to be to make sure we get these kits out as soon as possible and get them in the hands of the residents who can test themselves. If a test is positive, we are still going to ask people, our residents, to get a PCR test. And so we will have that as a backup. But, you know, the Delta variant is still the predominant variant in the Commonwealth. However, over the next probably couple of weeks, you're going to see Omicron start to usurp that as well. So, you know, I mean, the update, our vaccination rate, I believe the last time I looked was 55% with fully dosed and then 63% with one dose. We're doing better. We're doing better. Vaccinations are creeping up slowly. I believe very strongly that this pandemic is going to be with us for a while. I think we're going to continue to see the virus mutate. And until we get this under control across the world, not just in the United States, these variants are going to continue to mutate. So that's, you know, again, the graphs are up on the city website. You're welcome to take a look at them at your leisure. This week, the cases were looking very good until today. And that is because Springfield Public Schools had an explosion of cases last week. It was just very, very concerning, and Jeannie Clancy and her nurses are doing an excellent job, but it's very difficult to handle schools when you know that they have those 3-year-olds, and you can't, a 3-year-old doesn't want to keep its mask on. They don't understand. So we've had some elementary schools, some preschools that we've considered shuttering or quarantining. We have some athletes that we're quarantining. So while DESE is not going to shutter schools, so we will continue to do the best we can to keep our students safe. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Commissioner, as always, for the detailed update and all the work that your department is doing. A question relative to the surge. I mean, is it fair to characterize the surge as being related to kind of the post-Thanksgiving holiday?
Yes, I mean, we know that once a holiday comes in, but we're going to continue to experience it usually 2 weeks after a holiday, and we're right there as far as Thanksgiving is concerned. Within 2 weeks, we start to see the cases explode. But I'm hopeful that they will come down a bit so that we can at least get our arms around the contact tracing that we continue to do. The schools I just got off the call with Bill Miller down at the homeless shelter. They're doing well, although they have some cases, there's no explosion down at the homeless shelters. The colleges are doing well. There are cases, I don't want to mislead you, but they're not really anything like we've seen in the past. And the long-term care facilities are as well. They are doing well. Cases are happening, yes, but they are at least able to maintain a very low positivity rate.
Relative to the rapid tests, has the department given any thought to distributing a portion of them through the schools or in partnership with the schools?
Yes, I talked to Jeannie Clancy today, and we will put a system in place to make sure that the school department gets some kits as well.
How quickly do you see that distribution going? Because I'm just wondering, I mean, if we can see folks voluntarily using the rapid test prior to, you know, their Christmas holiday celebrations.
Yeah, I'm hopeful Monday, Counselor. We pretty much know what we're going to use as a distribution system. And so it's just a matter of our getting out there and getting these kits into the hands of these agencies and individuals. We're also going to have the ability to have our residents come here and pick up a kit, so that if, once we are able to make that announcement, there will be kits available here at the Department of Health and Human Services, and folks can pick them up here, and hopefully we'll have a site in every neighborhood, particularly those neighborhoods that have the highest infection rates or cases. And, we know that they're 04, 08, 09, and 07. Actually, though, 07 is doing pretty good.
That sounds that makes sense to me, and I once you have that list of pickup locations, certainly we can push that out through the counselors as well. And I'd be happy to volunteer to help man a site as well, for some time, at least. I'm sure others would too. So I think the rapid test, I mean, that's a first for this whole time period. That's completely new. I mean, we've never had that happen before. So that's interesting. I wanted to talk for a minute about Dr. Kerouac's statement this morning. The hospital capacity at Bay State was really deeply concerning to me, and sort of seemed to be the strongest statement from the medical community we've heard in a while. I was just curious on your thoughts relative to his recommendation on reinstituting a mask mandate, and also just in general, the hospital capacity and impact on the community, what you think in that regard.
Yeah, I spoke with Dr. Kerouac at length yesterday, and he told me, I'm not sure what he said, I haven't seen a statement, that they had capacity for 978 beds, I think he said, or individuals. He is now at 1,200. And so Bay State system is absolutely stretched to the brink. He said that he was going to make a statement about a mask mandate. I know also that he spoke, I'm not sure if he said mandate. I don't know what his language was. I haven't seen a statement. I know that he has spoken with many elected officials in cities across the Western region. And so do I think what I believe is that if a mask mandate is going to be reinstated, it needs to be statewide. It makes sense because we know that when we instituted it last in the city, the compliance and enforcement was really difficult, and people were not, our residents were not abiding by the mask mandate. So unenforceable mandates to me are very difficult to put in place if you can't enforce them. And we could not enforce them as a city. But I do think that if the Commonwealth would put a mask mandate in place, then we would be able to at least know that Chicopee, Holyoke, I just saw where I think it was Westfield is putting theirs back in place, but all of the cities around us really need to comply as well. And so that's why it would be great if it was statewide. So that would be my concern. And Dr. Kerouac and I had that conversation yesterday, just in terms, and I believe he spoke with Mayor Sarno as well.
Yeah, it appeared in his statement he was urging a statewide mask mandate, at least based on what I read this morning. I mean, and again, I don't want to misquote him. He seemed to say in place of that, he would urge local leaders as well to implement. But we do have actually we did reach out to them prior to that statement because we had a request from another counselor just for them to come in and talk a little bit about their capacity. So I know they're working on getting somebody to come in and be able to speak with us about that. I know they've worked very closely with your department. They've been very willing to provide experts to this committee. So we will continue to follow that. But Counselor Edwards, did you have any questions today for the commissioner?
Hi, Counselor Edwards. How are you doing?
Actually, I'm battling my second bout of shingles.
Oh, that's awful.
Yes.
That is awful. Did you get the vaccine?
I have had 2 vaccines of Pfizer, the booster for Pfizer, and the original shingle vaccine about 4 years ago. And about 2.5 years ago, or somewhere in there, I got the new updated version of the shingle vaccine, and this is still my second bout. So, but God is good, and I'm managing it, and it could always be worse. So I'm still better off than a lot of people.
So Well, I'm not going to get, I realize there's media on, so let me not get all in your
Yeah.
business like
Okay.
so I'll let that go right now. Yeah, so as I said, I did talk to Dr. Kerouac at length, and he, obviously he has some real concerns about hospital capacity, and the governor has been clear he's not going to institute a mask mandate, or at least from what I read. And I think if the Mass Medical Society, physicians, I'm in contact with folks in the eastern part of the state and in the central part of the state. They've been putting a lot of pressure on to get that mandate back in place, but there are those that think he is just not going to do that. So
I understand that. All right. Well, so what we'll look for is the rapid response distribution plan. We'll push that out as soon as you have that publicly available. I know you had outlined it publicly, but once you have the sites, we'll certainly push that out. And please keep us posted on how we can support you in that effort. And in the meantime, is there anything else we can assist with this week?
Well, I think you can advocate with Dr. Kerouac. That might be helpful as far as any resources for the western part of the state, including a statewide mask mandate, so that we're not sticking out here by ourselves. And as I said, when we last did that, it was not enforceable, and so it became a very just fragmented process. I am going to have some test kits in places where our residents can access them. I may think about putting some down in City Hall so that people who come down to pay bills, and I'm not sure. I just want to make sure that we get those kits in the hands of our residents. So what I would ask of you is, if you have ideas, let me know, please, because I'd like to be able to do that as soon as possible. I'm hoping by the end of next week we have the majority of them out.
Absolutely. Would the administration give any consideration to requiring masks in municipal buildings as it did previously?
I think that is something to consider. I certainly know that I have said to Counselor, I think you can make that decision, and that's a decision I would support. And I only say that because I heard from Counselor Williams, Council President Williams, who wanted to be able to have a mask mandate for the city council meetings, because I understand you were going back in person. And so I did say to him that the city council can say that for our meetings, the public will need to be required to wear a face covering, and also the city councilors, he's thinking about that as well, being required. So that is something that we can support as individual. The Board of Health can support individually. But in terms of just for municipal buildings, that has not been brought forward yet.
Okay. Well, thank you for that update. And as always, again, thank you for your willingness to work with the city council through us and with all the councils. Councilor Edwards, thank you for your regular attendance. I know, we wanted to get a meeting in ahead of the holiday season, and this was the time that worked best. So we'll certainly follow up with our colleagues and speak with you again in the near future. I expect that we will not hold a meeting next week unless there is a significant development. And if we do hold a meeting, again, barring any significant developments, I expect in the new year, should I continue in this role, at the pleasure of the president, we would have our next meeting in the new year. That is, unless we hear back from Bay State with their representative, we might hold one in between Christmas and the new year. Councilor Edwards?
Yes, I just want to take the opportunity to thank Matt and Paul, and of course our health commissioner, for their attendance as well. Echo everything that Jesse just said, but also I want to extend a holiday greeting to you all. And the greatest gift that you can have is your health and your family. So please do everything you can to stay healthy, live every day joyously, as we know too often is not promised to any of us. And just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, or any other, no disrespect to anybody, just make sure everybody feels Happy Kwanzaa as well. It's this holiday season, so everybody please be joyous.
Councilor Edwards, you take care of yourself. okay? You just made a statement around our health, which should be primary for us. So you take care of yourself. And Councilor Letterman, happy holidays to you and your wife, and Paul and Matt. We'll see each other in the next season. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Same to you. Always, Paul and Matt, thank you very much for your continued coverage, and hope everybody has a safe and healthy holiday season.
Amen. Take care.
Bye, everybody.